I said I'm at the point in my day where I need to see cameras on and microphones on because I was just on a Zoom where there were people that had their cameras and microphones off, and then somebody shared their screen and started porn. And that's a first. I've never had that happen. And so then I was like, oh my God, how do I kick this person off the Zoom? So Luz, I'm happy to see that you are a real person and have clothes on. That makes me really happy. It's like um, hazards of this technology enabled age that you didn't think would have to be a problem. So I was just saying, I invite everybody, if you are a real person, to turn on your camera unless you are in fact indisposed and not wearing clothes. Did it really, Ella? Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Oh, Felipe, okay, you are a real human. Awesome. Love this. And actually, I invite you to keep your cameras on if you can. I don't care what's going on in the background, but because what we're going to do is a physical thing, I want to make sure that you guys are doing it appropriately. So I don't care if you're not wearing makeup. I'd love for you guys to just be present and have your clothes on. That's my only requirement is please have your clothes on and don't do anything really weird. All right. Well, I'm glad that those of you have shown up on time, showed up on time. So I'm not going to hold us up. If when people want to join, they can. And obviously, we are recording this. Ella, are you recording or should I? Ella's doing it. Okay, cool. I just don't see that it's actually being recorded. So you let me know when you are ready to go. So you guys are on the mind, body, spirit, mastermind because you want something more, right? You want to get a hold of all these things going on and make sure that we're in alignment, mind, body, and spirit, that we have all these things under control and that they're propelling us in the right direction. And I would imagine that there's also some things that you're finding challenging and need some support and to mastermind around. So I'm going to teach you some things that you can put in your pocket and use anytime. But also, this time together is about accountability and making sure that we're nourishing the right sides of our life and our business and our priorities to make sure we're in alignment. And I advertised today as like, okay, for everybody who can't actually meditate, I mean, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that, I would be able to buy so many Starbucks fancy drinks because the more successful you are and like the better entrepreneur you are, it seems the more I hear I can't meditate. It's one of two camps. It's either I can't do that or I do this regularly and it's part of my practice, right? Um, and the reason that it's well, I'll start with something slightly controversial. So, entrepreneurs don't fail at meditation. Meditation um, has been taught in a way that just doesn't match how high performers are wired. We're not we're not wired for emptiness. We're wired for scanning, for building, for intensity, for problem solving, and nobody ever taught us how to turn that power inward. So today I'm going to teach you something called the Namuki Mudra, known as the sealing of the nine gates. And it comes from classical Tantra Kriya teachings that were preserved through correspondence between great yoga masters and later compiled by Marion McConnell in Letters from the Yoga Masters, if anybody's read that. Um, it's known as the 10th Tantra, and it's the first of the I don't want to get too in the weeds, but it's the first of the dharana practices, meaning that it is a practice of concentration. So it's not about relaxing, it's about containment because the consciousness leaks out of us all day long. When what we see, what we hear, what we say, what triggers you, if you can't contain your awareness, then you cannot command your nervous system. And if you can't command your nervous system, you can't command your leadership. And so with meditation, it's like when you try to meditate, what happens? Like what makes it difficult? Does your mind get louder? You're restless. You get bored. You start thinking about work. What you tell me? You can unmute, and there's few of us. You can tell me.
Work.
Yeah, like we're in reactive mode and there's so many inputs coming at us all the time, like notifications on our phone. And um, we're always thinking we can multitask, right? I want to do this for myself, or even when I'm listening to a podcast or a book and I'm like, okay, well, I can do that while I'm driving to go get my kid to pick them from point A to point B, or I'm on this Zoom, but like also I'm gonna get a few other things done that I need to get done, right? Or we're always split in a couple of places and we're wired that way. Anybody else?
Yeah, I will say the same when I'm meditating, which I do regularly in the morning and at night before going to sleep. There's always thoughts in my mind that is very hard to like shut that down and just, be present in the present moment and just be fully there.
Yeah. And even when we want to, thoughts creep in, right?
Yeah.
And we're focused on something and then it's like, oh, I have something in the oven.
Mhm.
All right. So I want to go over what the nine gates in is, and the reason that I chose this is because it's quick, so you don't have to spend 20 minutes meditating or try to get to that hour-long practice. We just want to drown out the noise and have some experience with our inner self, right? Instead of going out and having all these tentacles and antenna in all the things that we need to do, we're going to block it all out and just go in. And a lot of times we don't know what that feels like to be internal. And if we do, even when we're trying to, then it gets noisy, right? And so we're not really spending that time going internal and understanding what's happening in there. Or we get in there and they're like, it's kind of a scary place. Like, I don't actually like my thoughts. And I've taught in previous classes that that's generally your critical faculty talking, or your ego, not actually your higher self. So we need to get that critical faculty to shut off and like go out for a smoke break so we can let our subconscious come forward and actually hear our intuition and our higher self and all of that. So I chose this because it's kind of a hack, and it's a great place to start to just have that positive experience with yourself internally and drown out the noise until you can extend that into something else. So, if you guys are ready, in tantric anatomy, the body has nine gates, nine openings through which awareness flows outward: two eyes, two ears, two nostrils, the mouth, the anus, and the urinary or sexual opening. And in fact, some say that for women, it's actually 10 gates because we've got two extra things down there. But those are all the things that go out, right? They can also receive, but energy is flowing out through those openings. So these portals are where our attention exits the system. And when you're distracted by what you see or hear, your energy moves outward. When we want to shift inward, it becomes easier if we temporarily seal the gates. And to seal the gates, we use three actions: the Shanmukhi Mudra, which is the closing of the openings in the face; the Mula Bandha. A bandha is like a lock, and that's why it's called the nine gates, or the tenth tantra, and then there's like seven locks. The Mula Bandha is a gentle lift of the pelvic floor, and the Vajroli Mudra is a subtle contraction of the urinary or sexual muscles, all those things down near the root chakra. It's gentle. It's not forceful. It's not a workout. It's just containment. Now, those of you who might be familiar with Joe Dispenza, he's got a pineal meditation where he asks you to contract the pelvic floor, engage the lower abdomen, lift the throat, hold the breath. And that's like pushing all of this upward pressure into the pineal gland. And he says that once you put enough pressure, it like essentially explodes to contract again, kind of like a nuclear cloud. And that gives you this kind of psychedelic experience where you blast through all of that noise and those blockages. So he's asking to do that, and in yoga the same thing, because the upward muscular contraction puts breath retention, and the breath retention together creates the internal pressure along that spinal column. The pressure itself, and those for those of you who are just joining, we're about to do a lock, and I'm just explaining what we're doing. It's kind of like a meditation hack for those who can't meditate. So the pressure influences the cerebrospinal fluid movement, and that stimulates the midbrain, which is where the pineal gland is. And in yogic language, that midbrain point is called bindu. So when you hear me use that word, that's just the ancient yogis calling this practice bindu bidan, which is piercing the bindu, like exploding through it. Different language, same vertical axis. So Joe Dispenza talks in like scientific language, and yogis tend to talk, well, Sanskrit for one, but in more like of the woo-woo terms, for lack of a better explanation. So today we're going to add something powerful. We're going to hum Om while the gates are sealed. And here's why. When your eyes are closed and you hum, the vibration cannot travel outward. So it reverberates inside the skull, and the humming stimulates the vagus nerve, which I've talked a lot about. That vagus nerve is the ultimate regulator of our nervous system. And so we want to positively stimulate it. It increases the nitric oxide in the nasal cavity. It creates cranial resonance. And so in that resonance, it's like that's kind of what sucks you in, and you're like, oh, it's so cool in here. Like, I didn't know I could have that experience. And it anchors the attention so that the mind doesn't wander. And that's why it's a hack. Like, you're doing something and it's creating noise. So you can't like make noise and be thinking about something else at the same time very easily. So instead of fighting your thoughts, you give your nervous system vibration to organize around. And you don't have to believe any of this. You just need to notice what happens when you seal the system and add vibration. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Okay, so because your ears are going to be sealed during this practice, you will not be able to hear me once we begin. So I'm going to walk you through the entire sequence first with your eyes open. And that's why I'd love for you to turn your cameras on so that I can see if you're doing it right. And if you have earbuds in, it's okay. But if it bothers you, take them out and just listen to me. You're not going to need to. I don't need to hear you, but you need to hear me just for this point in time. Okay, so step one, sit tall. If you can and you're comfortable in like this, the Siddhasana position, that's fine too. But sitting up is fine. We just want to give that upward motion to that spinal column that we talked about before. We're going to inhale from the base of the spine up to the throat. Let me see if I can get my camera back a little bit. So we're breathing in as if we're breathing through the root chakra. And as I mentioned, like the Joe Dispenza pineal gland, we're putting upward pressure. So that lower gate and lock is the first one to seal off. And then we're kind of like squeezing the tube all the way up. So we're bringing the breath in from the base of the spine to the throat. We're bringing awareness to a point deep in the upper center of the head. That's bindu. That's where your pineal gland is. And then we're going to seal the 9 gates using our fingers and apply a gentle lift of the pelvic floor, and then hum Om for as long as the breath naturally allows. And then we'll repeat it. We'll release the hands. We exhale down the back of the spine to the base. So when we're inhaling to create that breath, we're going up the front. And when we exhale, we're going to imagine exhaling out the back. And we're going to do this 5 times. So at your own pace, no strain, no forcing. If at any time you feel like you need to release, just release gently. But that is effectively what we're going to do. So the first lock is that all those bottom holes that you have that you're sitting on. And if you're a boy or a girl, you got different holes, right? But you're squeezing all the bottom ones in that order and pulling that breath up. What we're going to do is we're going to take our thumbs, and that's going to close the ears. And then your first finger is like your third eye, so above your eyebrows. And then you're going to use another finger, your middle ones, to actually close your eyes. We can do that. There we go. And then the what is this? Ring finger. Ring finger is going to go above the lips and below the nose. If you can use your ring finger to close, like gentle pressure on your nostrils. So we're not closing them all the way, but we're closing them as much as we can. We still need to make that outward sound. So something is going to have to be open, but you're closing it as much as you possibly can. And then your pinky seals your mouth. Okay. So you look like you've just made a spider claw on your face, but you're just closing all of the holes. And so we'll take that deep breath in from the root and up through the mouth, and then use that breath to create the om until your breath runs out. And then you just relax. And we're going to repeat that 5 times. Okay. Any questions before we get started? You need finger placement. Everybody good? It looked good.
Mhm.
Okay, great. So thumbs, ears, index fingers over the eyes, middle fingers, yeah, not nostrils, ring fingers, upper lip. Did I do that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I did. Okay. Anything else? Let me see if I skipped over anything. Nope. Okay. So while you are letting the om escape, there are a couple of mantras you could consider. Now, you can think of your own intention if you want to. You can think of something else. But let me see which one I picked for today. I don't know which word I chose. Where is it? Sorry, I didn't put it in my notes. Give me a second. I want to make sure you have something to work with. If anybody's ever done transcendental meditation, they give you a word. And it's kind of like that, where like this isn't a word that's unique to you, but it's something for you to latch onto. And I forget the Sanskrit word because, believe it or not, I'm not fluent in Sanskrit. Although with my Ayurvedic studies, I tell you what, I feel like I speak way more Sanskrit than half the people I know. And it's part of the Mula Bandha lock. Come on, word. Almost there. We've got a lot of scrolling to do. There it is. Muladhara. I didn't want to screw that up. Muladhara. So if you want to think of one word because your thoughts are getting distracting, it's Muladhara. Any other questions? Now, where did my Zoom go? Shit. There. Okay. You're all there. Thought I hung up on everybody. Technology. Okay. So Muladhara. Repeat after me. Muladhara.
Muladhara.
Yeah. Bindi. Muladhara. So we're going to try to pierce the bindu. All right. Are you guys ready? And then I want you to like unmute your microphones and tell me what you felt. So we're going to do this 5 times, and I'm going to walk you through. So go ahead and get your gates together, get your hand positions. See, thumbs in your ears. Your eyes are closed, your nose is closed, and your lips are closed. And you're going to take that breath in. So we're going to concentrate on our locks. So down to that bottom gate, and then your stomach up to your throat. We're inhaling through the front of the spine. Take that deep breath and release it with an om. Om. Exhale down the back of the spine. And at your own pace, you're going to take your next in-breath again, focusing on those locks as you inhale up the front spine, as deep of a breath as you can. And again with Om. And if you can keep your mouth closed with the Om, keep your gates closed, keep your hands on your face for the gates to keep them closed. It also helps with the resonance in your body. And when the breath completes, you can release your hands, sort of shake them out before you do your next set. So if you've done your second round, when you're done, and again, if you are still in the gate, then you cannot hear me, which is totally fine. You can again go at your own pace when you're ready. That bottom lock, inhale up the front of the spine and keep your gates closed. And we'll do the third round of Om. And you can just breathe normally for a couple of breaths to reset and enjoy that moment, that calmer feeling that you now have. And when you feel ready, approach the fourth round. Again, with the locks from the bottom, closing all of the openings. Keep your hands on all of your gates, both hands, to complete the practice. Om for as long as you can. And there's no rush, so you go at your own pace. And the other reason that we make sure that we use all of our fingers to close all the gates is because mudras are our hand positions, and we have tons and tons of receptors in our fingers. And in Chinese medicine, it's meridians, right? They're connected all the way through. That's why we wear our wedding rings on our ring finger, because that's directly connected to the heart. So we have all of these connection points. And so when we keep our hands on the gates, we're connecting all of the things within this inner resonance. So in addition to stimulating the vagus nerve, you're also sending all of the energy through those meridians. And that's why it's a mudra. And if you feel ready, let's go ahead with our fifth round. And on this one, take the biggest breath that you feel like you have to date, and then lock, seal your gates, bring it all up, and make this the most powerful and loudest Om that you can manufacture for this fifth round. And on when you're ready, release through the back spine. And when you're complete, you can breathe normally and notice the containment. Notice the quiet. Notice the difference between effort and sovereignty. And you can take this moment now that you've had an internal resonant experience and just notice how you feel. What did you notice? Maybe you felt the vibration in the head. Maybe you had thoughts try to creep in. Maybe you felt the noise escape. Maybe you felt an expansion within. Perhaps you felt like you could see the inside of your mind. What did you notice? And how did you feel different? I invite you to take a clearing breath just in through the nose and let it escape through the mouth and just relax. And you can bat your eyes open when you're ready and come back to the present where we are here together. There's all the noise, there's all of the inputs and outputs still here, still waiting, but you had just a couple of minutes of just you. So it's easy, right? That's it. Pretty simple. What did you guys think? Bring your microphones off mute. Tell me what your experience was.
It was interesting to block everything. The vibration really did block distractions. I just did a killer shoulder workout yesterday, though, so that was my distraction, as I couldn't hold my hands up. So I'm going, oh my God, I need to put my arms down. But um, cool though to block everything, and it really does clear everything to lock that vibration in. Agreed.
Luz, what did you think? Or Felipe, anybody who
Yeah,
wants to contribute?
it was great. Like I was able to feel all my vibrations here in my front head. Like it went like all down to my body. It allowed me to relax. It was beautiful actually.
Yeah, it was a
Awesome.
trip. It was a trip. If like I pushed my fingers enough in my ears and my nose, um, and then I found the right frequency in my humming, it felt like I had these humongous speakers in my ears, just like blocking everything out. It was easier
Yeah.
to focus.
Yeah. And it's that is stimulating your vagus nerve, which is like, oh, okay, we
Hmm.
can relax now.
Hmm.
Alicia?
I've never done that. And I've done lots of meditating and I've never actually like, done I love the mudra. That was incredible. And for me, and this sounds hokey, for me, I experienced like time stopping, which is so liberating. It's just so that was my experience. And then I don't know if I was putting too much pressure on my eyes, but I did see, some green, which was cool.
Ooh,
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's supposed to be Raphael, the Archangel Raphael's green.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Hmm.
fun.
Wow.
Yeah. I know. You like walk into these worlds and you learn so many things. And I'm the same way as you, Alicia. Even if I'm like getting a massage and I'm down on my face, then I start seeing explosions of
Mm-hmm.
color. And I've always kind of seen that. I even saw um energy when I was a kid. I like the lights would go out and I would just sit there with my hands and I would sort of shake and then I would see these like dots come out and start swirling and I could control them. And I just thought that's, what our eyes did in the dark. I didn't realize that I could actually see energy until I was in my 40s. And then I was like, oh, is that what that is? That's
Surprise.
actual energy. Yeah. And my son sees auras, which is crazy. He's in fifth grade, but he's been seeing them since he was in preschool. So like
Mm.
language that we just don't speak, whether you believe in woo-woo stuff or not, like it's just energy. It's, we're like looking at vibrations and frequencies, and some people can see them and experience them differently. But that's what I think is so cool about the nine gates is that you really do block out all that noise. And sometimes it's just your nervous system is so overstimulated. If you think of how many billion things all of your senses are tracking at any 1 millisecond, and our brain is only retaining like, I don't know, a couple 100,000 or something to that effect. But of course, our systems are overstimulated and we're dysregulated because it's just like, ah. Um, in my Ayurvedic studies, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm an Ayurvedic coach. I studied Ayurveda all last year and I'm in my second year. So I feel like I'm still just scratching the surface. But the reason that I lost the 65 pounds that I've lost so far, 35 of which were just last year after I got really sick, I could only eat bone broth for 3 weeks. And I thought for sure after that I would gain the weight back when I started eating real food, but I didn't. I kept losing weight. And the reason is because our bodies get so overstimulated when we eat food. We eat in whatever American pattern we eat in, right? So we might have dessert first, or we might have vegetables first, and then potatoes, and then meat, or, skip around the whole plate. When we do that, our stomachs produce enzymes and different enzymes for different types of foods in order to break it down. And it starts in our saliva, right? So our saliva is like getting a note, oh, it's a potato. And it sends a note to our stomach to start producing the enzyme to break down a potato into all of the different things that we need to build blood and tissue and bone and organs and have all the systems running online. Well, when we're eating like crazy American shit, the enzymes that come out and are flooding the system, and it's tired, right? It's not efficient anymore. Our bodies are just like doing the best it can to break down the food, and we're not efficiently using it or producing it. And the same thing. So sorry, let me finish that story. So when we go on a monoenzymatic diet or a cleanse, as people do, then our systems start to calm down because we only need to produce that one enzyme for that food. And that gives the rest of the body a chance to catch up and for all those systems to come back online again. And so then we're able to be really efficient with how we break down food and put our body to work, because food is medicine, food is fuel, food is energy. And so when we can use it appropriately, we're very healthy. We don't skip anything. When we can't do it efficiently, that's when shit starts to go downhill. Um, and so the same is true in our external environment and our nervous system and all the things we have coming at us. We've got text messages, Slack channels, WhatsApp chats, social media, Zooms, somebody walking in your office. You've got children or spouses and dogs, right? So many things. And we're just like, I need a minute to calm down and I just need a break. So if that's all you can get in a day is this 5-minute exercise, it's still good, because science shows that when we meditate, we wake up and we're in that theta state, right? Our stress level is like here. And then pretty quickly we ramp into beta and we're like, "Ugh." And then throughout the day, shit gets thrown at us and the client calls and you've got a team that you're managing, or a sign blows off, right? Your problems happen. And then your stress level starts to ratchet up, ratchet up, ratchet up. Well, if you were to meditate at the beginning of the day, when normally your baseline stress and cortisol and adrenaline and all that is here, if you meditate, you bring your starting position here. So as this stuff happens to you throughout the day and it starts to ratchet up, maybe you only get here by lunchtime. And maybe you're here by the time you get home at night. instead of being here. So when you walk in the door and then your family needs you or your spouse wants something or the dog shit on the floor, then you're like, duh, right? And so ideally, if we were able to meditate in the morning and then again during midday and again in the evening, you're keeping that constant stress level at a reset, and we'll keep bringing it down to ratchet up, but we're controlling so that we don't get way over here. Because that's when we start living in cortisol and adrenaline phase, and the nervous system is just in overdrive, and the parasympathetic nervous system never has time to kick in to do that rest, digest, right? And so if this is all you can do, do it. Do it once, do it 3 times, do it 22, whatever you got. And if you don't, like if you're in a crowded space and you can't do the ohm, okay, just do like a gurgling noise in the back of your throat that's like just for you. You don't have to make weird noises, but you can push that energy forward, if you will. And even if it's just like with a really noisy breath, because when you close all your other things and you breathe and you're like, all I hear is myself breathing right now. That's okay. Use that, right? Okay, so that's all the education I have for you today. I can teach you more if you want, but I assume that you guys were here because meditation is really hard for you. So I can also give you a little 101 on how to maybe not suck at meditation. Or is anybody here good at meditation? No? Nobody's good?
No.
Okay, well, I used to be not good at all. So if you want, I'll take a couple of minutes and tell you how I got to be good at meditation. Cool. So have you guys heard of the Headspace app?
Mhm.
It's an app. And
Mhm.
this is how I taught my children to meditate. So every morning I meditate with my kids and my husband, if he's here, um, before school. And we just do 11 minutes. And my kids are now 14, 11, and almost 9. But we've been doing this. This is our third or fourth year. So my daughter's been doing this since she was 5 or 6. Oop, I think my earbuds just died. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
One of my earbuds just died. Um, so if my 5-year-old can do it, or my ADHD, like raging ADHD 11-year-old can do it, anybody can do it. So when I first started, I just like rolled out of bed and I sat on the floor and I put a YouTube meditation on and I just did 30 seconds of meditation. And I was like, oh, that wasn't bad. Then I did 2 minutes and I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't bad. So the Headspace app has a beginner program. And I don't think it's an extra charge or anything, but it's in 10-day increments, and then there's 10 levels of that. It starts by telling you how to meditate, like envision the cloud in the sky, and then you're just watching the cloud move, and you're not like running after the cloud. You're just noticing that it's there, right? It's guided. And then over the course of the 10-day period, the guidance starts to phase out a little bit. So by the end of like the 10th cohort, if you will, you're just getting sort of an education up front and then 11 minutes of silence and then a closing thought. And so you're left on your own at that point, but it tapers off in such a way that you are comfortable spending more and more time in the quiet. Because at first, what we really struggle with is when we have all that quiet space and the critical faculty is still there, and it's like, here's your to-do list and all the things, and the dog is barking, and we can't seem to sit. Or if we do get into the quiet, then we get into maybe a shame spiral where we're judging ourselves for all the things that we've done wrong. And then, like, it's not a great place to be to just sit there and ruminate on all the shit that's bothering you, right? And sometimes you have a physical feeling that goes with that thing that's bothering you. Like, I know when I feel shame, it's like right in my stomach, and it just like, it's like a zinger. It's like, there it is. And then I like can't shake it. So the key is to focus on that physical feeling, identify that's coming up, and then just be with it. We're not trying to fix it. We're not trying to make it go away. We're not trying to logic our way out of it. We're just noticing, oh, I feel shame. I feel that physically in my stomach. Interesting. And then move on to the next thought. So we're not trying to run away from it or judge ourselves that we've thought about it. We're just there to like narrate the experience. Oh, I feel shame. Oh, I noticed I was distracted by that. Oh, like everything is interesting. Then at that point, oh, isn't that interesting? I can narrate my life. And as you start to do that, then what happens is it's like if you took a stick and you threw it in the river and you watched it go down river, instead of jumping in after the stick to go swim after it, you're just watching it go. And so even as you can narrate your own life, then it becomes easier to observe rather than really sit in it. And if you need to, you can schedule 5 minutes after your meditation and like come back to it and say, okay, now I really need to like process that feeling I was having. Now I want to jump into it. But that's okay. There's a time and a place for that. It's like you've made a date with yourself to say, all right, let me break that down. Why did I shame spiral over that moment? Like what do I really feel about that? When let's say you meditate for like I do 11 minutes. Even if you only get 2 really good minutes out of that in like 10-second intervals throughout that 11 minutes, great. It's still amazing for your nervous system and it's still helping you harness getting control over your own mind. It's like that's fine. Or if you did 20 minutes and you only got 4. Okay, great. I get to the point where now I really crave the time to go and spend in meditation, and I can go spend an hour there because it's not for me to tune out my thoughts. It's actually for me to sit with my intuition and my higher self and say, let me listen. Like I have this question, or I have this problem, or I either want to manifest something or I want an answer to something, and I just need to be quiet so I can receive and listen. So then it becomes really interesting because I'm not like running away from something, I'm inviting something in, and I'm really present so I can listen. And there's other ways that we can get a little bit better at meditation too, other than just sitting in that space in the quiet, is things like um, mindful eating. You know how we like race through a meal, or we're distracted because we're talking to somebody and it's like communal, and we're in that space, we're just sort of shoveling things in our face. If we stop and instead have a mindful moment where we're thinking about, where did this food come from? How many hands were involved in putting it together? Like who had to grow it? What are the nutrients? Do the trees talk to each other? Like where is that? What was the supply chain in getting this to me? And now I'm going to put it in my body, and I'm how does that taste? And I'm going to chew it slowly, and then I'm going to let it go down, and I'm going to think about how that's nourishing my body and how is it building tissues and bone and structure in my body. And it's like, that's a lot to think about a sweet potato, right? But we just like, yum, and we just keep going. So even those like mindfulness moments where you slow down and you consider to be present where you are with what's happening, or if you go on a walk and you just notice. You notice how the wind feels on your skin. You notice a leaf moving. You notice someone walking by. And so life then becomes a meditation where you're just very, very present. There's a lot of different strategies that we can use to do that. And that's how I've improved my practice. But that's why we call it a practice, right? We're not going to be 100% all the time. And I'm not some yogi master or some Buddhist monk that like sit for 4 days and not eat and meditate. I'm a mom with 3 kids and this tiny little dog that follows me around everywhere. And I have a really busy, noisy mind. So I really need just a few minutes of a break every day. And I notice when I don't have it, then I start, you remember that like cortisol level? And like I start here and I get really crotchety when somebody brings me something that annoys me, that I'm like, "Ugh," and I'm more snippy. And my team is like, oh, Kristin, are you unmeditated? Like, everything okay? You need to like go sit down and have a few minutes. I'm like, you know what? I do. I am unmeditated today. So let me get to that. So we have 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys what you need. I have the curse of like too much knowledge. So I want to make sure that I'm giving you what's relevant and what's interesting to you rather than me just guessing what it is that that you guys want. So if you could have 3 things, and we have every month, as long as enough people show up, they'll let me keep doing this. But if I can give you these gifts and hacks and time and accountability, that's a gift. But what is it that you think you need? Tell me. Other than more hours in a day, like that, I can't help you with that.
I know Ayurveda is tons of knowledge, tons and tons. But I don't know if there is a week you could do an hour on. I would love to hear more about it. I bought a book, I don't even know, a couple years ago, and it was so overwhelming. I actually think I got it on Audible. I couldn't even listen to it. I went, nope, too much, too fast. Baby step into it. But if you ever want to do an hour on, I don't even know, intro to it, that would be amazing.
I'd love nothing more than to geek out on that. And that's my favorite thing. That's why I do neuroscience too, because like a lot of people don't want to go study quantum physics for 9 years, right? They're not interested and passionate. And I like to study it and then bring it back and put it in layman's terms and give you something you can use. Anybody else want to weigh in? I guys just really like your mute buttons.
Yeah, I like what you're doing. I think if we were to do more of this, even if it's monthly, awesome.
Yeah, and listen, we can do it more often. Like we could do it weekly. It's just that fast forward, I've got this one place on the calendar to make sure that it's open to all of fast forward. But if you guys are interested in doing it more, we can certainly build an accountability group where I can do this more often. I do it every day, so no skin off my nose to bring you guys into what I'm doing. And here's what I will do. I'm putting my email in here. So if you guys want to do that, just email me. I don't know what your note means, Alicia. Satnam.
Sorry, you were talking. I know that's so random now, out of context, but you were talking about, you were looking for the word muladhana or muladhara. And I was trying to guess. I was like, oh, because Satnam is one I go to as a mantra. It's Sanskrit
Gotcha.
for truth is my name, and the other one is Satanama. That I don't know if you've ever done that, but that was a really good one. So I was just trying to guess, trying to help you out.
Oh, you're wonderful. I love that. I love that you know any Sanskrit words like at all. That is really exciting. And I'll give you a little like quick thing on Ayurveda to consider this month. And so I actually teach a whole cohort on it's called Quantum Reset, and we work with the Ayurvedic cycles and the cycles of the moon, so lunar energy, and then with the mind, body, spirit stuff. And so we like put in all these practices that are appropriate in timing, so you can work with the energies that are there and present that maybe you didn't even know were there instead of working against them. And Ayurveda is a lot like that, where it's like the quick things are to eat with the season. Like, what is your local food that is available? There's a reason that's growing there now. That's what your body needs right now. Stuff like easy stuff like that. But what else would you guys benefit from? This is the mastermind where you bring to me and I bring back to you.
So I love meditation. I don't know if I'll ever consider myself good at it. But I do. I love meditation. It was funny when you were like, oh, sometimes I like crave it. I have had days where I like meditate for 2 hours. For my birthday, my husband's like, what do you want? And I was like, I want silence. Like literally. But one of the things that I have noticed is maybe I go a little too hard on the like Zen. And as a business owner, it can be a difficult balance, because I do think sometimes there is like this sense of urgency that is necessary. I don't know. So, and I haven't like found that balance. And I'm like, I'm so one end of the spectrum or the other. I'm either a hypervigilant psycho or I'm like a Zen master. Like there's no in between for me. And I don't know if That's what I
Well,
struggle.
yeah. And I think being really present is helpful so that you're not swinging the pendulum in both directions. And like I said, life becomes a meditation if you eventually are able to master it. You're just very, very present in that moment. So the question is, what should I be doing right now? And how can I be most present in that?
Okay.
So you're not totally zenned out. Like if it's right now is time for you to get shit done, then go get the shit done and bring the calm zen, but like that is still forceful energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can have really calm, think of like the lion breath, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
that is forceful, but the effect is calming.
Mm-hmm.
So if your hyper focused energy going outward needs to be in high beta so you can get shit done, but you're doing it in a calm, focused fashion rather than reactive out of fear, like, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's still forward energy. And so maybe you use your moments of Zen to just channel your focus and then make sure that you're putting everything into that business plan that you're doing or that conversation with the client. And that's another reason we do the gates. Like I said, it's containment. Like you can do that before a meeting, before you step on stage, before you send a reactive text. Like you can use those moments of Zen to then forward whatever it is you're working on. Anybody else have requests for going forward? Otherwise, I'm going to give you a quick Ayurvedic 101 to consider. And for those who, what is it? Those who don't make choices get to do what other people want to do. So if you don't request anything, I'm just going to push stuff at you and hope that you like it. Chris is like, yeah, do that. No problem, Amy, but let me read your request. We'll have a few different practical tips to regulate nervous system to focus before work. Okay, I can give you that too. I can give you a lot of those things. All right, if anybody else has requests, put them in the chat, and also you can email me and we can do more regular stuff. But let me give you basic idea here with Ayurveda. There are three primary energies, kind of like in yin and yang and masculine and feminine, there's two. Well, in Ayurveda, there's three. They are called Pitta, Vata, and Kapha. They all correspond to elements. That's why they are the way they are. And they have qualities associated with them. Kind of like we have feminine qualities and masculine qualities, same idea. So there's three different buckets. We're born with all of them, but we tend to like be heavier in one or two and not as much in the other naturally. And then life events will maybe push us into another direction. So the whole game is just balancing all of these energies and qualities constantly to keep us on the straight and narrow. So when we're diagnosing something that's in our mind or our physical body, we're looking to see which of those buckets we've got too much in and are depleted in another. And then we have strategies using generally food, herbs, spices, and practices to help balance and pacify the one that's aggravated and out of alignment. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So I'll give you a quick description of each one. Vata is the Air and Space Museum. That's like in your head, that's variably swinging. Air and ether can move through anything, can penetrate anything. It's cold, it's dry, right? If you were to blow air on something for a long time, it would be cold and dry and maybe like bumpy. Okay, those are descriptors of Vata. Pitta is fiery. That is like red, burning, hot, angry, um, moist, wet. That's but mostly the fire element and a little bit of water. Kapha is cold, dense, heavy, non-moving, like stagnant, like stubborn, um, juicy, smooth. So kapha is the opposite of vata. Pitta is in the middle, where it's like fiery, moving, high beta, all the things. And so if you combine two of those, then you need the other one to pacify it. So when you're thinking about like, which one am I in? If you feel a lot of variable or a lot of anxiety, or a lot of like, if you're kind of an airhead or like non-committal, that's Vata. If you have a hard time making a decision, right? Vata. If you're like headstrong, bossy, angry, also kind of stubborn, but like in that like violent kind of way, that's Pitta. Hot and spicy. Kapha is like, I might be overweight and you're not moving me, or maybe I'm like the best nurturer ever. I give the best hugs, right? You just want to sink into all my extra juicy bits. And I'm like, come to mama. I am just here. I'm always present. I'm not going anywhere. I might be an introvert. It might be too peoply outside. I just like my routine. I like the things the way they are. Juicy and sleuthy, and but kind of cold and not moving so much. So which category do you see yourself more in? And I'll tell you the rest of the hack with our 3 minutes left is that when in doubt, we pacify Vata, because Vata is kind of everywhere. Vata pushes some of the other energies in one of the directions, and tends to like introduce variables. So it's almost always Vata. Like how can we pacify Vata? Well, if you just think of what Vata is and think of the opposite, right? So if we have lots of variables, then we seek routine and pattern. Like, how can we be more consistent and predictable in our day? And maybe it's even eating at the same time of day, or maybe it's eating the same thing for lunch every day, or maybe it's a prayer routine and you have in the morning, or a workout routine. Any way that you can put more predictability in your day is going to pacify Vata. With food, instead of things that grow high up in trees, you want things that grow closer to the ground and are rooted. So a root vegetable, a sweet potato, amazing. A hot soup with root vegetables. That's why chicken noodle soup like cures everything. Because when you're sick and something's out of whack, it's pacifying Vata. So like if you're depressed or anxious, have salt, have soup, or get yourself in a warm blanket. Anything that's warm. So try to avoid cold, raw foods, because that's Vata. That's going to give you more Vata. So like avoid a salad. Eat something hot and creamy, or rooted in vegetables. And if you're confused, like just think of where the food grows. That's the element it has. So if like it grows in a tropical climate, it's probably Pitta, right? If it grows high up in the air, it's going to be Vata. Goes close to the ground, Kapha. So if you could only do one thing to pacify Vata, start your morning with a warm glass or like hot water with lemon in it. Just try that. If nothing else, give that a whirl and see how your day changes. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how digestible was that explanation of Ayurveda? And I will tailor our next like hour-long segment to accommodate, to make sure that it's landing and it feels absorbable.
It's been so long since I've looked at Ayurveda, but as you started to talk about the 3, it started to come back to me that I'd heard it. But I think I was confused on where I was in those 3. And what you said at the end, you have no idea how much that resonated with me right now. Like the chaos in my world right now, like the way you just wrapped it up was perfect.
Oh, I'm so glad. That's why we're here. Because yeah, I mean, we all have that chaos in our world, and this is the 9-year journey for me.
The way you just wrapped it up into the focus and the schedule, whatever that was. I don't know why it's making me emotional, but it is, and it's like you read my mind. So, thank you.
Maybe that may be a gift too.
Maybe.
But I'm so glad, and I'm so happy to bring more of this. I just want to make it accessible to everybody and anyone who's on a journey to make life a little bit more easy and really be in relationship with ourselves and like it there. Like if that's where we can get, we'll be so much better salespeople and leaders and spouses and parents. Like that's it. We just need a little peace, right? Stillness in our soul. Well, thank you for sharing, Kristen. That was brave, and I'm glad that you feel safe to do that here. That is time, guys. Thank you for showing up, and please next time invite a friend or five. We've got to have at least like 40 people on these for them to give us this space to keep doing it. So if you'll help me invite others, then we'll have even better experiences, and we'll continue.
Thank you for
Thanks,
doing this,
guys.
Krista.
Oh, of course. Thank you.